Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Cooper of Cooper's Mobile Mechanics, and on this week's episode I'm just going to be showing you a collection of jobs that I'm doing throughout the week, jobs that I think you might find interesting. So let's go straight to it. So first up we've got a BMW 1 Series E82. We're doing a service on this, so doing the oil and filter with the microfilter, and then I'm also replacing the air conditioning condenser. Down in here, it's kind of hard to see on camera, but it's all quite wet where it's been leaking. His aircon's not working at all, so we're going to replace that now. Obviously, first thing we want to do before doing anything on the air conditioning side is to evacuate the gas out of it. This car, it's got no gas in it anyway. It's all leaks out. There's nothing there. So yeah, we're just going to go ahead, take it all apart, get the intake side out of it, get the radiator out the way, and then we should be able to slip the condenser up this way. So we've got the condenser out. You can see the condition of it. So it's all been leaking around here. It's also very wet around here as well. And then just overall the condition of it, look. See all the fins that usually go along here. They're all just falling out, look. So the whole thing in general is just a bit battered. To replace it, to get it out, you've got the two pipes that go into it. We've got new seals to go on there. They're usually very, very stiff to get out. They did take a bit of beating and levering to get out. Repair instructions do say to take the radiator out fully, but obviously if you do that, you've then got to fill the coolant up and bleed it and all that. But you can just undo it. So once you've got the fan out of the way, you can undo the radiator here, and then you just kind of lift it up a little bit, and you can get enough room if you push it back, because the condenser is only thin. You can get enough room to slip it out there. So while that's out, I think I'm going to get rid of all that dirt. Thing with condensers, they get battered by stones while you're driving. You get little stones fire up and they can put holes in the condenser. They also gather leaves and things down there which can get wedged in. That can eventually cause little pinholes in as well. So I'm going to clean it all out before I put the new one in. Well then, condenser's all done. It's looking a lot nicer. Obviously he just needs to now take it over somewhere to get it regassed, because I don't have the equipment to do that. I think it's booked in to do that later on today. So now we're just going to move on to the service. It's got the oil filter, microfilter, and then usual carry out full inspection of the car, and then head over to the next job, which I've got a pair of rear springs on an Insignia. So I'm just in the process of doing the service. I noticed the brake fluid light was on, so we're doing a brake fluid change as well. I just want to show you this shock absorber. That's what I'm doing the inspection. See how badly this front shock absorber is leaking. It's going sort of dripping all the way down the shock absorber, all the way down the drop link. Sorry. He has got an MOT due in a few weeks, I think. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that failed the MOT. So it's probably worth getting them booked in to get that replaced first before getting the MOT done. Yes, thought I'd show you because it's pretty bad. Now with the Vauxhall Insignia, we've got a couple of rear springs to do. The failed his MOT maybe yesterday or something. So this one's broken. The other ones are starting to corrode, but we're doing the pair of them. Should be pretty straightforward really. Once you've got the wheel off, I'm going to get the jack under the lower arm here, take this nut and bolt out, and then slowly lower it down with the jack. You should be able to just whip the spring out and get the new one in. With the trailing arm down there, you can just get the spring in. What I usually do is spray a bit of lube just on there, just help the spring pop on nicely, get it up in place, and then get the jack under, lift it back up and put that bolt in. Nice and simple. There we've got two nice new springs on the back, ready to go get his MOT retest done. It's quite a nice one this. Like I said before, I always struggle with the last minute jobs, jobs that need doing sort of today and tomorrow, just because of how busy I am. So it was nice to be able to get here next day and get it all sorted, so that you can just go and get a nice quick MOT retest. So I'm back this morning to replace the boot latch on this Volkswagen Tiguan that I diagnosed last week. So I diagnosed it last week. They're on holiday this week, so he said to me, he's left me with the key and said, just come over whenever I've got time this week to come over and replace it. So originally this morning I was supposed to be going over and doing some trailing arm bushes on a Volvo. I messaged her this morning saying I'm on my way. Booked her in for the morning. Messaged her this morning saying I'm on the way. But she replied saying that she's out with the dogs and she's not going to be back for a couple of hours. So I had to have a bit of a reshuffle of my jobs this morning. So I've got the part. Luckily, the part for this Tiguan got delivered first thing this morning. So now just give me an opportunity to come over and fit it now. So it's the new unit. It's the genuine Volkswagen unit that I've put on. You've got the cable that comes here. This is all for the soft close. So you've got a cable that comes here, goes right down in there. So you've got to sort of get the lever over so that you can hook the cable on. Then it's got the plug connector on here, and then there's just two 13mm nuts. So this goes onto there and there. Bolt those on, get this trim back on, and then we can test it to make sure it's working okay. Before putting the trim all back together, I want to test it, make sure it's working. So if I latch it over like that, that's essentially like it being closed. So it's latched over. And if we just press the button here, it should, with any luck. Perfect. So we know that's working. Let's try again. Nice. Yeah, so now we know that's working, I can get this all back together. Test it again once it's all closed. Just again, make sure it's all working okay. So again, just want to test it, make sure it's working. We'll find out. Sometimes you need to sort of readapt them with the computer, with the automatic openings. It's looking working fine, to be fair. Just make sure it closes. Perfect. Job done. Next up, we've got this Volkswagen Passat for service, brake fluid change, and some rear brake pads. You see these pads, driver's side rear, are pretty low, measuring about 2 or 3 millimeters. On the passenger side rear, are more like 5 or 6 millimeters. We're changing the two together as a pair. Now with this one, when I first spoke to the customer, this was a couple of years ago actually, she was having problems. I came over to the wheel bearing on the rear. She'd already been somewhere. She had a noise from the rear, and they changed the driver's side rear caliper, brake flexes. They'd done something else as well. But when I got here, I said I was doing the bearing because the bearing was noisy. I said to her, the caliper's still sticking on the one that they'd replaced. So I think they took it, they looked at it and said, no, it's fine, there's nothing wrong with it. And then about 6 months or 9 months later, she got back in touch with me again. Said she got a funny squeaking sound coming from the rear, and just come over and just double check the bearing that I'd done. So she said, yeah, that's no problem. Came over and had a look, and it was the caliper. The caliper was sticking. So eventually, it's just starting to rain. Lovely. So eventually they did replace that caliper. I think they did a parts warranty claim. But they replaced the caliper, but they didn't do anything with the pads. So ever since then, obviously the pads on that side that were sticking, they've always been lower. So now we're at a point where on the driver's side the pads are like 2 millimeters, but the passenger side are about 6. So we're going to replace the pads on both sides. I'm going to double check that caliper, just make sure it's okay while I'm here. It should just be a case of doing the pads. So once I've done those, then I'll do the brake fluid change, and then I can do the service after. But I might need to put my gazebo up because it's starting to rain. Hopefully, it's not going to last very long. So I've put the park and brake in service position already. So it's really just a case of getting these caps off here and there. Getting your 7mm Allen key in there and there. It's like taking these off, taking this clip off, and get the caliper off and push the piston back. So the motor is pulled back in the service position. Should just be able to get my wind kit, twist it, and it should push that piston back nicely, which it is. Some people use, so for these ones it's not twisting the piston. Some of them are. Usually when you've got an electronic handbrake, they just push back. So I know some people, they use a pair of grips or something like that to push it back. I always use this tool, because if you've got grips, you're going to risk damaging the boot here, and also there's not really anywhere to put the other side of the grips other than the plastic motor housing. If I went around there, so again, you can risk damaging that. So I've had people ask me before, oh, why are you using that tool? You just need to push them back. Well, I'm using it because it's the right tool for the job, and it does the job without doing and causing any damage. And see how easy it is. Literally just twist it around with your fingers. Now I'll get a wire wheel on my drill, give these all a nice clean up, get all the rust off, and then we can get the pads, get the brake grease paste on there, on the sliding point of it, get them in, make sure they're nice and free, and then build it all back together. Oh, they're all done. Now the reason, just in case you were interested, the reason I've done the brake pads first is because I've got rear brake pads, brake fluid change and a service to do. If you've watched my previous videos before, you'll know that when you're doing a brake fluid change, you need to do the rears first before you do the fronts. So if ever I'm doing a service, I'll jack the back up, bleed the rears, and then I'll jack the front up and I'll bleed the fronts while draining the oil. So obviously my thought process was if I do the rear pads first, I've already got the wheels off at the back. It's going to make it nice and easy for me to do the brake fluid change. So I can do the rear brake pads, do the brake fluid change from the rears, then jack the front up and do the fronts while draining the oil and doing all the service checks and everything. Also, second reason, once you've done, so when your brake pads go low, your fluid level drops a little bit. Now if I was to do the brake fluid change first before doing the pads, I'll do the brake fluid change, that will then put the brake fluid to the maximum. And then once I do, if I was to then do the brake pads after, I'll push this piston back, and as I push the piston back, the brake fluid will rise up and it will probably overflow. So again, just another reason why I did the pads first. Now I can do the brake fluid change after and do the oil change after that. And that's not me telling people how to do the job. Like I say, everyone's got their own process, everyone's got their own routine. That's just my routine, that's just my thought process. Yeah, I just thought I'd show you, just in case anyone was interested. Like previously on other videos I've shown you doing jobs, I've said before, this isn't me telling you how to do the job, it's just my process. Right, just been having a look at my weather app, my lightning tracker app, and there's a storm coming, so I'll just hear it now. There's a rumble of thunder now actually. So I think I'm going to put my tools in the van, take a break, go and sit in there and have some lunch, wait for it to pass over. I think it's timed that quite well. Right, so that job's done. Didn't manage to film any of it anymore because the storm, to be honest, it was just too bad. So I didn't put my gazebo up because of the thunder and lightning. I didn't want to put the gazebo up, so I was hiding in the van for a bit. Sat in there for about 20 minutes. Then the rain kind of died off a little bit, so I went back out, did a bit more work. Rain came down heavier again, so I had to go back in the van. So pretty much I just wanted to get the job done as and when I could, really. So yeah, I haven't done any filming on it. But it was all done. So the brakes were done, brake fluid change was done, service was done. I don't think there was anything to report. Oh, there's just intermittent O2 sensor fault on there, which has been there for about a year now. She knows about it. But in the minute, the engine management light did come on. It was about 6 months ago it came on for a few days, and then it went off again. So I priced it up for her, but since then the light hasn't come back on. So it's not really causing too many issues for her, but the fault has still got an intermittent fault stored in there. Yeah, other than that, it's all in good condition. So that'll be me done for the day. I did have those trailing ambushes to do this morning. Obviously they missed their slot, so I said originally I was going to try and shuffle jobs around, and then I was going to let her know and get back to her later today. But because of the weather, sort of having to move jobs around, plus the weather, I haven't got time to go there today now, so we're going to have to rearrange for another day. So then tomorrow I've got, I think I've got a couple of bits of diagnosis to do, maybe a service. Yeah, I can't remember, to be fair. Well, so next up I've got a Ford Focus for a service and a bit of diagnosis. The customer is complaining of intermittent engine warning light is coming on while he's driving every so often. It doesn't come on all the time. But what it's got is a fault saying charge air temperature sensor and intake air temperature sensor correlation. So it's correlation fault between the two. So those two communicate with each other. I just want to show you what I found. So I just started off by looking at live data. So here you've got the temperature. So that's for this one here, the charge air temperature, that's reading 50. And the intake is reading 44. So I took for a nice drive. Nothing really was coming up. Like I say, it's an intermittent fault. So it's not happening right now. So then I thought, I just started playing with the wires. Obviously, you want to see if there's a loose connection or any wires, see what changes. What I noticed with this one, if I disconnect it, so usually what happens, let's say if I disconnect this one here, so that's reading 44 degrees. If I disconnect it, it goes to minus 40 there. There's an open circuit, it's disconnected, so it comes up as minus 40 degrees. If I disconnect this one, it stays at 48, but then if I plug it back in, it then starts creeping up. You can see there, and it goes all the way up to about, well, went up to 110 degrees, which is a bit strange. So at first I thought, okay, it's looking like it's going to need a new sensor, because that doesn't quite seem right to me. But I then noticed you can see a bit of oil around here, just on the top of the rocker and the back of the sort of timing belt cover area. But I noticed here, this pipe got a nice split on it. You can just see there, just run along there, there's a split running along. So that's going to allow air leaks, air being sucked in, air being drawn out. So that's not going to help matters at all. So it's definitely going to need this pipe. I think I'm going to order that sensor as well, just in case. Because yeah, the readings, I'm not quite liking what I'm seeing on the readings. It may well just be because of this pipe, but I think I'll order both, change the pipe first, because it definitely needs that anyway. You can tell by the split, and then at least I've got that sensor with me. So I'll get that ordered and then rebook him to replace those, because I can't get them today. So for today, we'll be doing the service, the oil and filter, the new sun plug, and a cabin filter to replace. And obviously just give it a good check over. This car, I replaced front and rear springs on this not long ago, so I know they're going to be okay. I've been servicing this for the last couple of years, so I'm pretty sure this car's going to be in good condition. Now I'm with a Mini, got the engine management light on. It's got a few faults in there. So I had an air mass system fault, and then there's also the exhaust pressure sensor before the turbo. We had a couple of faults in there. There's a couple of faults in just because I've got it all disconnected from where I've been looking, but it was these faults here that I was interested in. I'll just show you what I found. So I've taken off all the intake to the turbo. Two things really. One, I've got a little pipe here, which is notoriously brittle. One little touch of it and it's split. But I also found, so I've removed the pressure sensor before the turbo. You can see there how blocked it is inside the sensor, and also in the pipe itself. Now that hole there, I've actually stuck a pick in there. It was completely blocked in there, solid. Yeah, all the way down that pipe is completely sooted up and blocked up. So we're gonna have to change that sensor, and I think we're gonna have to change this pipe as well, which runs down here all the way down to the back, and somewhere back here. It's going to be tight. Right then, BMW 2 Series, we've got a rocker cover to replace. It's all leaking. Initially came this morning to have a look at replacing the gasket, but when I got here, realised it's actually the rocker cover itself. I did wipe it a little bit this morning, but all around here is very wet. So we're replacing the whole rocker cover. So essentially what I need to do is get all of the scuttle and everything off out of the way, get these covers off, and then I've got the fuel rail the injectors, all that to get out. Any plug connectors, sensors, anything that's attached to it, get those all out of the way, and then we should be able to lift it off. And then putting it back together, obviously clean up all the injectors, any carbon that's inside there, be cleaning those up. We've got new seals for the injectors, things like that. So I've got the two covers off there and there, and then basically just need to, it's on both sides, says beyond that cover you got an E socket there, E16 or something like that, I can't remember. Another one there, and then another one on that side, so you got those two. So you got to get the support bar out and then get this cover off here, which is a few 10mm, and once that's all out the way, then you got enough room then to get everything out here. Oh, so now they're off, so we've got a lot more space and access to everything. So we want to get this pipe off here, which is, if you remember from that Mini that I looked at yesterday, that one is the one that goes really brittle. So you want to be really careful when getting these off. Get off there, and just kind of, you don't want to bend it too much. Just keep it out of the way like that. And then what have we got? Got a little T20, T25 there. We can get that off. Get these connectors out of the way. Another one there. Get this all out of the way. And then we want to, we've got the fuel pipe off here. Get each individual pipe off for the injectors. Get the rail off. We may need to, this pipe here goes back to the fuel pump there. Usually you've got to slacken that off just to allow you to move this around. Get the injectors out, and then there's just a couple more sensors really, so yeah, not a bad job really. Now with the fuel pipes, what I tend to do is I'll lay them out as I take them off one by one. I lay them out how they were when they were on the vehicle, because you see, particularly 2 and 3, they kind of weave over each other. So what you don't want to do is just chuck them in the corner, and then when it comes to building them back together, you get confusion, don't know which one's which. Injectors as well, do the same with the injectors. I'll take them out one by one and I'll lay them here, so again I know which injector goes for which cylinder. And that's it with the cover off. Other than the oil leak, obviously, that it had, very clean engine. Injectors came out really nicely, they were clean as anything, no rust on them. Timing chain feels good, just have a little feel of that, just check to see if there's any slack, but that's all good. So it's really just a case of cleaning all the oil off and then getting the new cover on there. That's the new cover. So we've got a genuine one. Pretty much a straight swap over. The only thing we need to swap from the old one is the oil filler cap. And then there's just a couple of little grommets, I think one there and one around here as well. That we just need to swap over from the old cover. And it comes with gaskets and everything as well. And then when you put it on, there is a tightening sequence for these bolts. I'll double check it, but it's pretty much, I think you start from the middle and then work your way out. So as you're tightening it, it kind of spreads the load, if that makes sense. Get them all torqued up. I think you nip them all up by hand in the order, and then you go back from the start again, torque them usually about 8 or 10 Newton meters, not very tight at all. Well, that's me all done. I didn't manage to film, again, same old story as I usually have to say. Couldn't film anymore. The customer came out while I was putting it back together, and while it was all stripped down, he got the hoover out and started cleaning all the underneath the scuttle, getting all the leaves and everything. He was having a good clean-up operation while I was building it all back together, so I couldn't really get my camera out and start filming. But yeah, it was all absolutely fine. Went together nicely, runs nicely, no leaks, no sort of misfires or anything, other than having the injectors out. Everything's absolutely bang on. So that's me done for the week. I hope you've enjoyed watching the video. I hope you found something interesting, maybe learned something, I don't know. If you have enjoyed it, please like, comment or subscribe if you haven't already. And yeah, I'll see you on the next one. Thank you very much for watching.